All right, guys, welcome to what is now our first ever roundtable. We actually pulled it off, James. We've been talking about doing this literally for several months now, but we actually now are doing it, and we're welcoming Amanda Younger to the forum. Hello, Amanda. You guys watching out there probably recognize Amanda. She was the guest on my final episode of season 1 on EventSpeak. And we're very excited at EventSpeak to welcome her to our family and the network. And she's actually got her own show that she's going to be hosting called Happy Hour with Amanda Younger. That's going to be Mondays this fall. So the idea today, guys, is we're just chit-chatting a little bit. Of course, welcoming once again the dad of EventSpeak, the founder, James Trivelis. I'm still Big John. And of course, we've got Amanda with us today. So today we're talking a little bit about, what we just did with the first season of my show, EventSpeak, and of course some things that we can look forward to seeing this fall, like Amanda's show, Happy Hour. So how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, Big John and Amanda. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
I think, that's how we started out the first interview, James, months ago. And I think the answer is a bit brighter than it was back then. I mean, we've made some progress in COVID America.
It's interesting you say that because, a lot has happened. And we definitely have made progress, as a world. COVID's still around, sadly. We're all still dealing with what we're dealing with. And that's one of the reasons why we began to do what we're doing right now, which is basically, creating content and getting the network together, basically connecting us all so that we can all get together and figure out what this all looks like. I don't think that we've all figured out what it looks like, but I think we have a great picture, stencil maybe, of what it looks like, and we're still trying to figure it out. Well, Big John, do you agree?
I think so. I mean, if anything, it's been fun. Speaking for myself, it's been really fun. Just having so many really great conversations with a lot of great people. And we said this at the beginning, and I think we've said it throughout, that, we really didn't know what we were doing. And I think we're still kind of figuring that out. But there was one thing that we could agree on, that we wanted to create a place that the all-inclusive event industry could come together to have a dialogue and some solidarity, because while there's a bit more of normalcy that's come into play over the last few months, the event industry is still a huge question mark for so many people, and it remains to be. So I feel like that is something that will remain our mission statement at EventSpeak, which is keeping the industry connected. And what better way to do that than to create a bunch of, hopefully interesting content, like what we're doing by expanding our network and welcoming Amanda to the show. So Amanda, even though, we of course talked with you on EventSpeak last week, but if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be doing on EventSpeak with your show Happy Hour this fall, then by all means, enlighten us.
Sure. I think James and I have both been at marketing events for the same amount of time, since about 2005. So I think we both come from that same background of, having to set up your own tent and and driving your own truck and packing a truck and getting it there and actually watching our industry as it's progressed and, of course, evolved ourselves professionally. And, of course, now I'm a producer and telling people, oh, this is how you pack a truck. You're packing that wrong. This is what I need you to buy.
In that voice, too.
That's right. Actually, that is the production voice. And when you hear this voice, then then you know that hat is on.
I could never take you seriously. I'd be like, oh yeah, sorry.
Oh gosh. Gotta really pack the truck now. So during that entire span, I've met so many people along this journey, and it's me inviting them on and having a drink and discussing where we've been and what we're doing and where we think we're going to go. So that's basically the crux of it. And we kind of, I've spanned over high times. So we talk about cannabis in an episode. I've done long distance nationwide college tours. So I've got another friend from those roadie moments.
Fun.
Some friends from actually now they're with Live Nation and tour management. Those were a lot of concerts that I've done in the recent past. So they kind of come from that area. Everything from, I even worked at an agency for a while. And so we've got some friends that have moved on to become writers for comics and screenwriters for TV shows and movies. I've got a friend that now is doing puppets that are animated, and it's becoming its own show. Like there's a whole gambit. It's a wide spectrum.
Wow. I was going to say, sounds like it covers a little bit of everything. And, I like that you're going with the, sharing a cocktail and kind of talking about the biz, which for those of you that caught Amanda on my show, EventSpeak, that was the one and only time that first season that I actually did that, at least on camera.
Yeah.
Shared a cocktail and had a great conversation. And as I had mentioned, and James, you of course know this, and any of the partners, but Amanda and I, we go back a long time. We started out touring together
back in those times.
It was the final spring version and what would be the last incarnation of the then TKO tour.
Yeah.
Which James, this tour back in the day was like the mother of all tours. I mean, from Amanda, I think you were
the client. So Consumer Electronics Association.
Yeah, Consumer Electronics was the client, right? And they had like
tons of different clients from that. Yeah.
Tons of, like, when I did the one that I did in the spring of 2007, it was really broken down, a lot smaller. But Amanda, I know you were out on it for a few years, and from what I remember hearing from Jen and Rob, like it was huge, like multiple clients, like, 10, 20 different booths of, all centered around, consumer electronics, James. So, back when
it was a roadie group of 12, I think, of us.
Yes.
That were on the road together. 12. And then you would have another group, so from the same agency, so like Nintendo and a couple of others, they would weave in and out. They would be like their own group of promotional cars so that they could do some extra events, but they were kind of tagging along our tour. So we were, they were a part of our crew for a little bit as well. But happy hour kind of comes from that time. I know that I've had drinks with you in the parking lot of a hotel. I know some of my friends on the road for, I think I did the Nickelback tour, if anybody remembers that. Yeah, with Hinder and Saving. Anyways, so in those parking lots of amphitheaters, outside the bus, all of these conversations already took place. And it was like that roadie Friday. It was always like a Monday or a Tuesday, which is why we're keeping it on Mondays. And that was
which is Roadie Friday.
We finished, when we did strike and things were done, we always had a drink with each other in the parking lot, and we talked about everything. We just talked about everything. And that was kind of where we could improve. It was kind of like chit-chatting with like peers, and you talk crap about things that this person did and that person did, but then you talked about like the day, and someone has like a great nugget of, what I did 3 years ago on this tour, and I did that. Oh, you should try that. And you're like, okay. And by the end of it, like, you go to bed inspired by the people that you work with, and you're able to get up and go and do it again.
No, 100%. Right? I mean, that actually kind of segues into kind of, what EventSpeak is all about. Because everything Amanda is saying, there's probably a lot of people watching that have their own versions of that. I mean, that have experienced it on, whether it was mobile marketing tours or, doing a string of activations in whatever city they might be from. And, I think that's something now more than ever people want to hear, especially folks from that business. It's like, you know, a way of sort of, oh yeah, like wiping the memories away like cobwebs kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's good for the soul, James. And I got to believe that's got to be something that you, when you were starting EventSpeak back in the day, that you were thinking like, I got to give these people a place to come and hang out.
Oh, I remember exactly. Actually, what you were just saying about how everybody congregated and had a drink in the parking lot over at a hotel, you know, it brings me back to the day I was living in San Francisco and I was working for another marketing agency. And at the time, you know, the crew, they were in town and their satellite that was literally on top of their, you know, their giant Sprinter van was down. And I went out there to go fix it. And I remember just driving there, and I was driving there with another brand ambassador at the time, my colleague, Crystal Mukai, who actually got me into the industry. And I remember turning over to her as I'm driving and saying, is there a place where everybody could just get together and just talk about what we do? And at the time, there was nothing. And I remember that. And then I remember, which is funny, we drove to the hotel. We had a 6-pack. We opened it up. We all drank. We fixed the satellite. And we did what we had to do. And it was for a big brand, obviously, but that's what you did. And, you know, it makes me happy to hear these stories. I'm elated. It really does. But it also saddens me, too, considering the situation. But that's the reason this is happening. It's the reason why we started it. It's so that we can have these conversations and love them, so that we can stay together and continue, you know, discussing what we love doing best, right?
And it's absolutely, and I'm sure this is something that we're going to see more of. And for you folks watching at home, that is kind of the whole, you know, mission statement at EventSpeak right now is we are, of course, we want to have a place that will be what you guys always knew it to be. Well, once there are jobs again, we'll have the job boards up and running, and the ability for, you know, agency reviews and brand ambassador reviews and, you know, nuts and bolts stuff that you would expect. But, you know, as we're building the content, as we're now inviting, you know, Amanda and her show Happy Hour coming to the format, we have a few other tricks up our sleeves out there, folks, that for you that are watching, that we expect to see, you know, a lot more content coming from EventSpeak this fall and into this winter. And the content, I think, is great because, like, we're creating like a library of conversations, you know, and for the people at home, whether they're, you know, brand marketing people or a lot of our, you know, our poor off friends in the music business right now, or lack of music business right now, that are all just sort of, you know, looking around of like, man, I think just having the ability to come somewhere where you can talk to other people that understand what you're going through. And it's also how opportunities come up, because just doing what we're doing now, you know, these conversations, and then as the industry will eventually slowly go back to, you know, some semblance of activation again, until, you know, we obviously see an end to the virus and a vaccine widely distributed, which could be a while yet. I think all of this content we're putting together is going to remain very prevalent, you know, because we've said this in 1,000 interviews, and I know Matt and I talked about it, and James, you and I have talked about it. It's going to be a familiar landscape, but it's not going to be what it once was. It's changed. The world has now changed. The industry is now changed. And I think that we're all still figuring out what that's going to be. And that's something that I think a lot of people are trying to kind of predict right now, which I don't think you can, you know, guys.
Normal. What's it going to be?
Yeah, it really isn't. So I feel like in the meantime, let's all just keep talking to each other. Let's have some laughs. Let's reminisce to the old days, and maybe even take a peek into what some of the new days might look like. You know, well, I mean, as this relates now, I'm in the brand new EventSpeak studio in LA. A big shout out to JT and John Fox over at Evolve, our partners and our friends and family that actually literally came here and I put them to work. And we put this incredible studio together where we're going to be shooting all of season 2. We've already gotten started underway. But my point to saying that is, you know, we really recognize, guys, you know, that there's a need for this. And I think what we're hoping is that the more that we talk to people and the more that we kind of figure out what's coming next, the more people could start to get their head around that. And one of the episodes that we just shot on my show was with our friends at Gamer Jibe. which we've talked about this a little off camera, but, where you've essentially got someone that, founded the company that was a game developer and now has got the ability to create these virtual events where you have an avatar and they're fluid. And it's really, I don't want to give it away because it's like we did a live demo on the show that takes us through what it's like, to actually have a digital event. And, that's
so much from the gaming community, esports, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really something where I admit I was a bit apprehensive. I'm like, I don't know, because the thing is like, I'm an old school guy. We're old school. You're like, nothing's ever going to replace, an old school event. But the thing is they're not trying to replace it. It's like, we're trying to add on to it. And I think that even when we're, let's say, a year down the road from now, and we start to see events coming back into play on a much bigger scale, I think the digital part of it is still going to be a big handshake. There's still going to be a lot of people that are apprehensive to go out in large crowds. There's going to be folks that also recognize some of the silver linings of this pandemic world, which is, you don't have to leave your home to attend something. You can literally jump on the Zoom and boom, you're there. And, I know that for myself, and I'm sure this is for you guys as well, and a lot of people watching at home, everybody's utilizing this these days. So we're seeing less and less of a need for people that are actually having to leave their homes and commute across town or whatever the case is. But I guess on the other flip side of that coin, guys, is we're already in a society where people are engaging less with each other. We've got 1,000 ways to communicate with each other digitally, but people are talking less than they ever were. People are now having the opportunity we don't have to, in fact, we're being discouraged to be near each other right now. But I think when we get on the other side of that, in conclusion, there's still going to be a lot of people that probably are going to be, kind of closed off to what's going on. So I think that's going to all reshape events as we know it.
Well, think of it. Go. No, you go ahead, Amanda. Go.
No, I was just going to say, I think one thing that the gaming community can teach us is how to create a community with those that are a little bit more introverted or a little bit more timid when it comes to large groups. I think you're always going to have group ecstasy. You're always going to be able to, that's what we know. I think the big thing that what we're learning, at least from the conversations that we've been having, I know from your season 1 and I know going into season 2, as well as my conversations that I've been having with folks, there seems to be this hybrid form of possibilities of, yes, we can have this live experience, maybe at a different capacity, maybe, at a different style, but we can still have it. But there is this other community that we can still touch, that we have now gained through all of our digital events. And that's one thing that we've been learning going from live events to digital events, is somewhere we can do a little bit of both. That way we can capture both audiences. Yeah. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of those interesting innovations. Go ahead, James.
No. Everything you just said brought up a good point. Recently, I don't know if you know, I'm assuming you would know who Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, is. Yes. He actually owns the #1 esports team. So what he did was he turned around and went to them and said, hey, I want to hold a 23,000 person Zoom call. Can you make that happen? They literally took a warehouse, they purchased a warehouse, put up giant screens all the way around, had 23,000 people attend this online all over the world, where that person was able to walk up to the screen and he was able to touch them, drag them in, have a conversation with that person, and then swipe them away and have another conversation with somebody else. That, to me, is evolution.
That's crazy.
That's something different. So 23,000 people all on the same call. Would you have thought of that happening, 6 months ago? No, we would have been like, maybe we can have that happen.
That's incredible. That's like Iron Man type stuff from the movie Iron Man. Moving all the things around.
Think of that. Think of what we're doing right now. we're building habits, and sadly these habits are not ones that we would typically build for ourselves. I'm being forced to be an introvert. I'm forced to not talk to people and not to shake hands, not to hug, not to use a photo booth, not to do things that I would typically do at events. How does that change the canvas? Well, the canvas is right now still being painted because it's a new one. And that's pretty cool. The esports thing. I love that. I'm keeping an eye on it.
And Amanda brings up a good point that it's sparking innovation, and you're going to see more and more come from people. I mean, you spend 5 minutes on social media and you see 1,000 new things that people are trying around the world. I just saw this thing. I shared it with you guys on our chats. That was, they were doing a concert that was held at this hotel that in the Ukraine, and it was on the outside wall of the hotel where all the rooms had balconies, right? So they had the stage set up off in the distance and the band performing, and then everybody was just on their individual hotel balconies watching the show. And I thought to myself, wow, that's fascinating. And I feel like
it's
people
really
are
great for the hotels.
Yeah, I'm sure the hotels are stoked. But the thing is, I'm thinking about this is like, you've got to be staying there specifically to be going to that concert. Because if not, if you're just there traveling for work, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be like, gee, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? It's something that it's interesting to me because, we've already seen a lot of change and innovation. And like we were just talking about, James, with what what Tony Robbins just did. And, and I think, guys, for you, though, watching at home, this is a good, really prime example of what EventSpeak is about. Is we are all trying to figure out what's next. And the thing is that even when what's next coming, I think a lot of people are under this misconception that, okay, well, it's a little different than what it was before, and now it's changed, now we're moving on. No. I think it's going to take several years of a lot of continuing changes that we're going to see continually introduced into our business. That's going to continually change event marketing and just in the event business across the spectrum, the ecosystem, as JT calls it, because, we have no choice at this point. And, that is a big part of the reason that I feel like what we're doing at EventSpeak it's important. It's something that, right now people need to be united and we need to talk to each other. And, that kind of goes to what we were saying earlier, and that is, of course, why we're welcoming our friend Amanda to the network and the happy hours that'll be coming up this coming fall on Mondays, the Roadie Friday, as she calls it. I like that a lot. And then I will actually be season 2 of EventSpeak with me, Big John, is going to be Fridays this coming fall, the actual Friday. So I'm going to lead you into the weekend, and Amanda is going to take you into the week, kind of a thing. So
we'll book in those weekends for you.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out, guys. Because as we were talking a little bit off camera, we are all in the event industry ourselves individually, and kind of I've seen some glimmer of hope on my end with some of the clients that we work with and folks getting ready to do some COVID safe events. So that's, an exciting thing. But honestly, guys, thank you so much today for just taking the time to chit chat in this little roundtable. We did this for all you at home, just for us to take this opportunity to really say thank you so much for supporting us. And really, I'm sure, James, this has had to be something that was like a really a substantial thing for you. But like, as you saw, a lot of the guests on my show, everybody was like, oh man, EventSpeak's back. That's great. And we had, friends like Joe Roboleski from Assist that accredited, EventSpeak helping him launch his company. And Larry Hess from Encore said the same. Like, there are a lot of people that are players in this business that, were like, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of I think, good support out there to want to see EventSpeak continue to come back. So, that about wraps up the time we had today, guys, for our little round table. So, again, don't forget happy hour with Amanda Younger coming up this fall on the EventSpeak Network. That's going to be on Mondays. And then, of course, with me, Big John, EventSpeak every Friday. We're going to have a lot of great guests. And James, I'm sure there's a lot more you got up your sleeve, but thanks for having us on your network and helping us bring this thing to life. www.eventspeak.com, you guys. Any closing words, guys, before we close this thing out?
Real quick, if you have a business or you would like to join the site, go to eventspeak.com and join the site. It's an easy way for you to network, connect with each other, build partnerships. If you have your business listed in the business directory, it's also there for a job board. So there is a job board on there. We're trying to help the industry get back on its feet. So by all means, and if you are interested in having your own show, if you're interested in talking to people like us, if you're interested in having these types of conversations, reach out to Justin at eventspeak.com or James at eventspeak.com, and we'll gladly have that conversation with you. We look forward to what the future holds. Big John?
Well said, James. And, just real quick, to announcing a really fun thing that we're doing on that note, and we are actively looking to create more content. So if you're like me and Amanda and can speak words with your mouth well, then you should maybe think about having your own show. And we've teamed up with our friends, Tej and the guys at the AAEP that will be looking for that special winner. If you're a brand ambassador out there and you're looking to do a show about being a BA in the event industry, well, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So on behalf of myself, Amanda, James, and all of the EventSpeak Network and family and friends, thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other.
Have a good one.